the more we pause in the day, the more efficient we come. So you don't even have to do less. Maybe you will even do more.
Yes.
So it's just the quality that changes, the quality of what you're doing. Our consciousness is in a way so limited that we sometimes can't see the bigger picture. I mean, it's easy to surrender to the unknown when everything is blissful.
Can we learn to be with not knowing?
Oh, this is a big one. Life is one big ceremony, and constantly bringing the little gems to look at yourself. The opportunity is there to see the light in myself and to see another truth in myself.
What is the thing that helps you to really figure out or focus on what are the few really important things and what is just noise? Welcome back to Spirit Unfolding, the place where we explore the depth of the human experience and what it means to find ourselves, to get this sense of self, and how we can contribute to a more beautiful world. I'm so excited today to sit down with Marloes Hovestad, who's a great friend and also a coach and a breathworker with a focus on helping people remember how to get to more space within themselves, a better balance between mind, body, and soul. And yeah, I'm really excited to dive in with her today about all that she does, about the power of the breath, about the power of presence. And Marloes, thanks so much for being here. One of the things that I realized lately was that, we are breathing all the time, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And I think there's so much power in slowing down and putting more focus on our breath to really get a better sense of the now, the moment of now, and a better sense of our body. But I also realized that in a sense, everything is breathing. Like, the first thing we do when we come into this world is we breathe in, and the very last thing we do is we breathe out. And in a sense, the universe is also expanding as if it's a massive inhale, and other parts of the universe are collapsing as if they're also on their last breath. So it seems like everything is this continuous flow of breathing in and breathing out. And as I'm personally doing more breath work, I'm starting to feel more and more that the breath seems to be the way to connect more and more to everything around us, to what's within us, but also to the mystery of creation. And yeah, I'm just really curious, to hear your perspective on that, and also how your journey has been, from being someone that maybe hadn't heard about breathwork in the very beginning to where you are now.
So let's start with that slowing down that you mentioned in the beginning. As you mentioned, you're a great friend, and it's quite interesting to sit here with you in this way.
Yeah.
With a mic and a camera, and notice bring some not tension in my body, but I can notice that it influences my breath, my heartbeat, and I just would like to take some time to acknowledge that. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that before we started this talk, I shared with you, I just want to be with what comes up in this conversation, and to be real in that, to be authentic in that.
Yeah.
And there's a part in me that wants to really dive into your question and bring the most enlightened answers, and and I can't, because it feels like there's a more truthful part in me that doesn't allow me to to take from that source.
So what is alive in you?
Right now, stillness, actually, or silence. Not stillness, there's a lot going on, but there's a silence. There's a part that is a bit uncomfortable, because that part is telling me there's a certain expectation from Lars's side that this conversation is going somewhere.
Only that we're authentic, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really good to feel that the bigger part in me knows that. The bigger part in me knows that and can actually relax into that and surrender into that, trust that, okay, it's just, if we're just sitting here for some time, just looking at each other and being present with each other, then that's exactly what it is. And just from my side, I will not force to have it go in any different direction than just that.
Yeah, I love that. And thanks for slowing us down, because I feel it also now in my system that we're now in a place with a lot more presence, in a different energy. And just excited to see what will unfold. Can you maybe share a bit about how your journey's been? Also, for people that don't know you yet, to kind of introduce yourself and give us a perspective on, what breathwork has meant for you.
Yeah, I can feel there's more presence in the space. Feels good. Yeah. Otherwise, also these words are so meaningless when there's no presence in them. Actually, radically honestly, my journey into breath has not been so interesting. I know stories from breathworkers and coaches who, they really have a story, like, oh, this is how I came to breathwork, and I needed to share this beautiful tool and this knowledge. And for me, it's not so spectacular story to it. Basically, I came into contact with breathwork, like through someone else, through a breathworker, obviously, who shared with me, oh, do you know I do breathwork? And I was like, breathwork? What is that? I knew yoga and all these things. I was already quite into that. And so I just tried it out. I was open for it, curious. I was like, okay, that's something new. I had no idea what to expect. And I didn't have this big experience of like, what you sometimes hear. I know there's also lots of cowboy stories out there, which also actually keeps some people from trying it. Because people like to share these, and then, oh, that sounds a bit intense. And actually my experience was really soft, and exactly that inspired me. Because I came into contact with a quality of myself and a quality of silence that I didn't know, that I maybe experienced before in my life, but not so consciously. And so now I could feel that, and I could experience that directly and consciously. And that touched something inside me where I could really feel like, oh, this is something else. This is interesting. This is something to follow. So it sparked my curiosity in a really sweet way, actually. And so that's what I followed. Just doing breathwork more and more, experiencing it for myself. Then also, of course, experiencing the more intense side of it. And at some point I decided, actually, this is something that more people should try and should know about. Because like you shared in the beginning, we start our life with taking our first breath and we end with our last. And in between, it's an automatic, happily, it's an automatic process of us breathing. It goes by itself. But how much are we actually aware of it? So that's how my journey into breath basically started. Or my journey into breath work.
Yeah. Yeah, right. We're all, well, like you said, we are breathing. It's automatic, but I think the moment you become aware that there's also other ways for it to happen than automatic, when you can choose to take control in certain moments, a new layer, have access to a new layer of life in a sense. Like I can definitely, I definitely agree with that sense of like this more stillness, but also the depth. Like I remember the very first time I did breathwork, I think this is like 5 years ago. It was a 3-day breathwork retreat, and
immediately diving in.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I heard about it. I think I listened to a podcast or something, and I was like, okay, let's see what's happening around where I live. And it's actually like the other side of the country, but it was beautiful to experience that in a, let's say, the container of a couple of days, because it was so foreign in the beginning, and it was like when you have the time to sort of ease into it, and the very first time of like just connected breathing, I felt so much happening in my body, and like a lot of resistance, a lot of the tingling, and like emotions coming up, but me sort of not really being able to fully surrender to them, and to them coming up. And like, but then the second session and the third session on that day, all of a sudden, I was able to let go. And it was really interesting. Like I think we were with like 15 people, and they asked us about our intention at the beginning of the weekend, and we all had like very different intentions. And then throughout the 3 days, we had, I think, 2 more sort of check-ins with the group of like, hey, do you want to sort of refine your intention, or is there something that you feel is coming up now? And at the end of the 3 days, everyone's intention was self-love. We were all realizing that we hadn't always loved ourselves, and there was more space there. And I think that was for me the first moment where or like not the first moment, but like the sort of key moment where I realized how powerful the breath can be. And in one of those sessions, I had this experience of like a lot of grief came up. Like I've been so tough on myself, and like I couldn't really access self-love in that moment. I felt like I don't love myself, and it felt so like I'd been abandoning myself, and so much aloneness in that. And then like, I think 2 or 3 years later, I had on a retreat, and sort of another couple of days. And at the end of that retreat was also a deep breathwork session. And all I could feel there was this ball of love, of golden light, that was sort of in my body. And I realized I am love, which is the total opposite of, and it was both through the breath. So it's like, if you continue with it, if you learn to let go and surrender, there's a lot of potential and space for alchemy, and for like just coming more to your true self, which is love, I think. I'm curious, like, how has that been for you, in terms of like, you notice this sense of more softness, more presence? How has that then evolved since that first contact over the last years?
Yeah, beautiful, this self-love aspect. It feels like a continuous unfolding that will unfold until my last breath. All the layers. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about shedding layers, just exploring layers. And yes, not just through breathwork, of course. It's like there's so many beautiful tools out there. So much wisdom. Meeting people, reminding us of something. Reminding us of that self-love you talk about. Yeah, for me it really feels like a walking each other home. And in that, while we are walking each other home, there's many, many layers for us to meet in ourselves, which is actually something that we can only do. And this is what I've been more and more doing in the last years in many ways. And breathwork has been an important part in that. But so many things, just life. So for me, it's not so much about, yes, I go to retreats, I go to ceremonies, to beautiful workshops, trainings, and those feel like the deep dives in that moment, and they always come at a divine timing.
Yeah.
Meeting the right people. And so they are like the deep dives that in that moment apparently are needed for a deepening. But much of it and most of it is also just life. Life is one big ceremony, and constantly bringing the little gems to look at yourself, or let's keep it with me, to look at myself. And the opportunity to deepen within myself and look at some things that maybe have been hidden, and they don't have to be, for me, they don't have to be like negative things or darkness or only that. It's also the light. Moments, little gems where the opportunity is there to see the light in myself and to see another truth in myself. And I think we can only see that when we are open for it, when we are open to these little gems that are offered in a day-to-day experience, where we often just miss them. And I miss many of them. But more and more, and this is for me by slowing down.
Yeah.
By slowing down, by breathing, by becoming more aware of the moment, how I'm sitting here with you, going to the supermarket. So it's not just when going into nature and, beautiful, and connecting with myself, but really these mundane,
seeing
mundane moments.
Seeing the beauty in everything, right? Like, I can have these moments where I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that kind of I feel like needs to be done, and you're quote unquote accomplishing a lot, but you're not really actually there for it to happen. So it's like, oh yeah, I've actually, I need to hurry up, and I've done a lot of things today, but how much was I actually present for it? How much of it did I feel? Did I see? Did I sense? Did I taste? Or was I just sort of only using the part of my brain that I needed to get that done, but sort of, disregarding the senses and the sense of self as well in that then. It is continues to be a beautiful challenge to always be present. But I also like, for me, what I noticed that we call it breathwork now, but like even just doing one deep breath in a moment of feeling a bit stressed or something can already change so much. I'm curious, like, what for you, or do you have other stuff like that where you feel like, okay, that are like sort of, let's say, I wouldn't maybe necessarily tools, but like things that you do can just help you get into the present moment.
In the undoing, I guess. Yeah, even within my journey in breathwork, there's a journey of going into. Of course, I went to do like a training, education, or several of them actually, with several teachers. And there can be a lot of doing in it. And just untangling that and going more into the undoing, also within breathwork, but also in day-to-day life. What was your question?
Well, I'm curious about like the things that you, let's say, use or to come more into the present moment.
Yeah. Really, that was my answer, the undoing. By just basically just sitting. Often these days, I'm giving myself permission to just sit at the window, stare outside, look at the trees. I'm blessed by having lots of green and lots of really beautiful trees and space around the house. So I'm not looking at a beton wall. Yeah. It's really just nature. And having the birds outside. I'm also blessed with living with people that can also do that, who can also just sit without having to do something or having to talk to each other, but just to sit. I have 2 beautiful dogs, as you know, Lola and Charlie, who are guardians of presence, because this is what they do the whole day.
Yeah,
they're just being. So I also I feel like a beautiful surroundings environment that also allows me, or makes it easier to just sit and be with myself. And in that, it can be uncomfortable at times, because of course, in me is also still the conditioning of, but shouldn't you be doing something? Even in becoming present, shouldn't you be doing like a few minutes of breathing now?
Yeah, to become more present.
To become more present, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Listen to a meditation to become more present. How about just sitting and looking outside and to see actually what comes up in that?
Yeah, I love that. Like, I think in a sense we're so addicted to trying to find a shortcut to get somewhere instead of just being.
We're so good at distracting ourselves with, like, let's call it useless things, because there is so much for us, especially in this time. There's so much, and so we're constantly searching for that thing, either to do or to use, and they have a place. They all have a place. Like yesterday evening, my evening went a bit different than expected. And actually the whole day already, I could feel in myself like like a sort of a feeling of agitation, for lack of a better word, let's say agitation. Not really feeling connected to myself in a way. And I had a plan for the afternoon to do something, and that went completely different. And then I just felt like, okay, what do I need right now? What do I actually need right now? And in the last couple of years, I've also been using sound and my own voice a lot more to get the energy flowing. And that was exactly what I felt yesterday. Wait a minute, I can sit now at the window and look outside, but actually there's an energy stuck. So how can I get this energy flowing? And I just felt like I'm going to use my voice to get the energy flowing. So that's what I did. I was just singing mantras. I put my favorite mantras on, and I was singing for an hour, 1.5 hours. And at some point a smile comes on my face. And it's not about the smile, but it is about at some point feeling this energy flowing, this life force energy flowing again, which actually brings the lightness, which brings like a sense of aliveness in me that I was missing for pretty much the whole day. But sometimes it takes some time to really become aware for me to, okay, I've just been bathing in that feeling before actually becoming aware, okay, I just have stuck energy.
Yeah.
I just need to get that energy flowing. And then, okay, here I am. Now I'm back.
I love that. And it also reminds me of like, that it's almost never that we can get ourselves out of a situation with the same tools we've brought ourselves into it. So let's say we are stuck in our head, which probably something that I experienced that's similar to what you just described. You can't think yourself out of it. There's different tools. There's the body, or like, maybe not a tool, whatever you want to call it, but like bringing presence to another part of you, and then it shifts something. Yeah, I love that.
It's such an intelligent system.
Yeah.
We just have to know how to use it and to become aware of it in the first place.
Right. Yeah. And that is like, that's the key thing, right? Like if you don't have awareness of something, you can't really begin to transform it, use it, change it. I've noticed like even just one deep inhale and letting go of breath already can, change my perception or like where I'm putting my attention on. Yeah. Like, for example, I'm editing by the computer and I'm like, all of a sudden I feel a bit of like something in my back or whatever. I'm like breathing in and then like, oh, actually my posture is not great. By doing that, you're kind of zooming out a little bit. One thing that I know you've worked with, that I don't think we've ever really talked about a lot, was de-armoring, which, the whole process of unfolding layers that you talked about before, like touches on that. But like, I'm curious, like, can you describe like what that is and how it works, how your experience has been?
Yeah. It's completely opened up my system. Much more actually than breathwork did. Yeah. I also see it like that it's something for us to discover what tools work for us to allow us to surrender and to open up. And this is of course depending on also the people you're with and you're working with, but also what kind of tool. Like, is voice something that works? Is breath something that works? Is touch something that works? And apparently for me, which is a big part of de-armoring, is soft touch. So de-armoring, I got in touch with that through the Gaia method. Suzanne Rugar. Hope I pronounce it correctly. But I know she will forgive me if I don't. I heard of it, and again, it just sparked a curiosity, knowing that I should go there. So I went into a retreat, a de-armoring retreat, 5 or 6 days in a container with Suzanne, who is like, for me, like the godmother of de-armoring. So much wisdom, so much knowledge and experience, and a beautiful team of a space holding that was really new to me, the quality of space holding of her team. And I think a big part of me opening up or breaking open, or however you want to call it, was that. To really feel that I was in a super safe container to open up, to soften, to show my heart, to be vulnerable. And so I came there with zero expectations, just a curiosity. And I think this is also a really good ingredient to just, with everything you do, just be curious and see how it is. This is also how I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah.
And so through, de-armoring has many aspects to it. But for me, mostly the soft touch part was what supported me in softening my armor, which is what it is. So de-armoring is, we all have armor. We also needed it at some point. It supported us. And at some point, we don't need it anymore. Or not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the moment when we can soften it. But when we're not aware we have it and we walk around with it, then, So, for me, it really allowed my system. So basically you work on pressure points and just, how beautiful and healing is it to be touched by someone who is just present with you and lovingly touching you without wanting anything from you. This is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Because often we want something from someone else, whether it's through words or whether it's through touch. But to be touched by someone so purely that you feel they don't want anything from me. It's just a loving touch, they're just present. And in that, for me, there was so much the sigh of relief you talked about just earlier.
Yeah.
In the whole system. And my energy could flow. So something opened. The energy could flow again. And a sense of getting in touch with myself, and a sense of aliveness came that I haven't felt for a long time. So I'm super grateful for getting to know that practice, for getting in touch with it, let's put it that way. And also for gifting myself that experience. And since then, I'm also did the practitioner training with them. Also went to another retreat with them. And I'm integrating that in my work as well. But I'm not necessarily offering de-armoring sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And I reflected on that a lot, because I did start offering it. And at some point I came to the realization that I'm integrating it in my coaching sessions and in my breathwork, which I'm doing. But I don't feel the calling to offer de-armoring sessions. And I simply trust that.
Yeah.
In the beginning, there was also a part of me that was just scared, because it's a bit scary to offer something new. Like, oh, and can I actually do that? And what happens? And I imagine that's still part of it, because it is still new for me to offer that. But also for me, the armoring has been, there's a difference between what do I really enjoy facilitating and what is something that has been profound for me personally.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And is it needed to offer what was profound for me, to offer that in my work to someone else? Or can I just focus on what gives me much joy to facilitate, or most joy to facilitate? And what gives me most joy to facilitate, the focus stays on breathwork and my coaching. Because sometimes there's almost no breathwork and it's mostly coaching, and we integrate the body in that.
Mm-hmm.
I just work with what comes up.
Yeah.
And so for me, the armoring has been most profound, but it doesn't mean I have to also work with that in my sessions.
I love that. And it also brings up in me like this, like the courage to choose. Like, we don't have to do everything. And I think that's also one of the things I appreciate so much about you, is that you have a lot of this presence in a way that I don't feel with many other people. And I believe it is because of what you're describing here. Is like, you are taking the time to just be. You are not like running after getting, I don't know, as many sales as possible tomorrow, or like whatever it is. Like, you're being more instead of doing all the time. And out of like, say, personal curiosity, because for me it's like,
now it comes.
Like how do you,
I'm resitting.
how do you I love that. Like, how do you find the space to make those courageous choices? And like, how is it like, is it slowing down? Is it more like, what is the thing that helps you to really figure out or focus on, like, what are the few really important things and what is just noise?
Yeah, you call it courage. I never really looked at it like that. To have the courage for it.
Because I describe it like that because for me it feels like a letting go of control, in a sense of, I'm not doing these 6 things that I believe are, or I experience that are necessary in a sense, but I'm feeling into which 2 things are most important, and I just let go of the other and learn to trust that it's okay that I don't put any or as much effort into them. While a part of me or there's like thoughts coming by that are still like, well, what about those other things? So for me, it feels like it's, courage is needed. But maybe you would describe it differently.
Well, yeah. What comes up when you mention that is the word joy comes. To follow what brings us joy. And of course, not everything we do can be joyful. Or maybe it is possible, but I haven't figured it out yet. There's things in life we just have to do, right? And just because they're also part of it. But in this, what you describe or what you're asking, I feel like, to really focus on what brings us joy. And to focus on that. And I think in that also we are all very much different. In like what you described, for example, and of course I don't know how that feels for you, but when you're focusing on certain things, and then there's also this, but what about that? But maybe that's a curiosity that wants to be explored.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, then I would definitely say like that's very
Okay.
clear that that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
And like curiosities for me are one of the biggest sort of I don't know, like markers or whatever you want to call them, like to go in that direction. Yeah. But when it's more stuff like obligations, the stuff that feels like, well, as you described, like some stuff just needs to be done.
I mean, Lars, you know me, so you also, I think, know this about me. I can also really contract at times, like when there's not so much work flowing, when I'm not putting so much energy into it, simply because I don't have it, when I don't have the energy, and there's also not so much flowing back, then I can be really like, fuck.
Yeah, you're not.
Fuck. I need to do something. I need to do this and that, and then I can be very disconnected, and searching for, you know. And at some point, I become aware of it, and then it's like, oh yeah, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't really force life in a sense.
It doesn't work. So, you know, what is it actually that life is asking of me right now? And yeah, when we are talking about now, then it is life asking me to slow down even more. Even when people around me look at me and they're like, woman, can you slow down even more? It's just like, but you already slowed down so much. And it's, yeah, but apparently this is what life asks of me right now. And it's challenging for me sometimes, because it also brings up the other thing of like, but you know, you're an entrepreneur and you need to create things, because you also need to have this energy of money coming in. So
right, yeah.
This is also there. It's also part of it. But I think the difference is that right now, at least I can only speak from how it is now for me. Right now, the trust in that life is holding me and I'm being held in life, that sense of trust is bigger than this one.
Yeah, I love that. And for me, it also feels like you're kind of describing, like you talked about joy, and it's in a sense, it's a conscious decision to follow joy, even when it's maybe not directly present, or you feel like there's this little voice going on. It's like, oh, but if I follow joy, my day will be better. You know, let's keep it as simple as that. And then, because everything is energy, maybe you don't need to work very hard on getting new clients or whatever, because you're now in this joyful, more abundant state of being, and you will automatically attract more in a sense as well.
Yeah. Or maybe it's not a time to have much clients.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a time where there's something else is needed. And maybe it's a time to meet that feeling of, and now what?
I love that. Like,
and now what? Maybe that wants to be met right now.
Yeah.
And I'm inviting and challenging myself every day to trust that. And some days is easier than other days.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we learn to be with not knowing?
Yeah. Oh, this is a big one. This is a big one. In many aspects. Yeah. It's
so interesting for me, like this whole, like in this journey of life, this like this constant, I don't know if you would call it the duality or whatever, but like this sense that constantly wants to have control. But then I also recognize that the most beautiful moments I've experienced was when I did not have control. Yet the paradox is, in the moment, it's still really hard to fully let go of control. Yes. it kind of happens to you. And I do feel like the more you can tune into this sense of trust and being carried, and having experienced that more, it can become easier to surrender to that, and you open the door to more magic to happen, in a sense. But to fully let go in all aspects, it's so hard. Yeah. But it is like, for me, I feel like that's a continuous invitation to myself, to learn to let go more, to trust more. Because also, well, you can trust life because the breath is always there, in a sense anyway, you know, like it's automatic, it's happening, you're being carried, even if you're not aware of it. It's constantly filling you up, emptying you, filling you up, emptying you, like carrying you, helping you flow through life.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's easy to surrender to the unknown when everything is blissful.
Yeah.
When everything is flowing, and then it's easy to surrender to not knowing. But when life is challenging us, and speaking from my own experience right now, just having a certain vision and dreams and a plan of what the future looks like, or the near future looks like, and then having something happen that completely just all of a sudden this whole idea and vision is just collapsing, and then to still trust, to trust when life takes a very unexpected turn, to still feel back into that trust that our consciousness is in a way so limited that we sometimes can't see the bigger picture. Yeah. We often can't see the bigger picture. And so to trust that, and that is to me the trusting in the unknown. Yeah, to look at it like, okay, fuck. And I want to control. I want to take back the control, but I can't. So then what's left is I can stay in that contraction and try all the ways I can possibly grasp to take back that control. Or to take that sigh of relief. And I'm often using affirmations in that. I have a little notebook, a little journal for this challenging time where I'm in right now, where I write inspirations and affirmations that in moments where I become aware that I'm doing that. It's like, okay, just reading it, letting it land. And then I can feel like a trust landing again. Oh yeah, of course. So I also really just keep reminding myself of this bigger picture that I don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Because life, what I do know and what I fully trust is that life is never against us. Never, ever. Even it feels like that. Even sometimes, and especially for people that I know go through really hard stuff, really challenging stuff. And then, to still know that life is never against us. But sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What also comes up is like, I once heard, when you choose to go somewhere, you often don't realize you're also choosing everything that stands in the way. Like, to become a new version of yourself, you will have to face certain things, mostly parts of yourself, because if you aren't there yet, it means that you don't embody that energy yet, which means there's still things that are holding you back within yourself. And when you earlier talked about the armoring, you talked about like these layers of armor, and we place them there often very early in our lives because they kind of need to protect us from the outside world, right? Things that are happening externally. But would you say that then we're also, as we are closing off to the outside world, we're also closing off those parts for ourselves, to ourselves?
We're closing off to feeling it.
Yeah.
We're closing off to the feelings that are in that moment there, but for some reason we are not able to feel it yet. So it's basically being stored for later. It's being stored for that moment in life where you're ready for it, or we are ready for it, and the circumstances are soft enough or are good enough for us to have that, to meet that, to feel that. Yeah. So definitely we shut it off for ourselves because we're just not. We don't have the space for it, or we're not capable of it, or it's not safe to do it in that moment. And yes, it's lots of things from our childhood, also because when we're really young, we're simply emotionally not capable yet for some of the things that we experience. And they don't have to be big traumas. It's also in these little moments where, something is just, for us as little children, just intense. And we save it, and then when you're 41,
it all comes back to the surface.
When you're 41, it's all of a sudden, interesting. And apparently then that time was then also needed to meet that.
Yeah.
And I do see that just for me personally, there might have been moments already where maybe I was ready, but I couldn't see it yet. I didn't have the presence yet. And I think this is very much what is one of our biggest practices, I guess, to just become more present of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Like, this whole conversation feels for me like a big invitation to slow down more. Maybe for listeners, but also definitely for myself. And it's I know that there's a lot there. And I also remember like the very first, well, I wouldn't say the first time, but like in the sort of beginning of this whole, when I started to do, let's say, more spiritual work or whatever you want to call it, like everywhere I heard like slow down. And I was still so identified with this version of me that was working like 60, 70 hours a week and trying to get so much done, that I became like really irritated or something, and now I can laugh about it so much. Even in a moment, sometimes it was like, what do you mean slow down even more? And then like, and now you're expressing like what you described now, but also before we started recording, like how much you're actually slowing down in the past weeks now for yourself is way more even than I could sort of foresee at that moment. And yet I feel this quality of presence in you that is just so inspiring. I'm like, maybe that's worth a lot more than, working more, getting more done in a sense. It's like, what's the point, you know? And I also, you know, acknowledge that like this whole journey can be different for everyone, right? Like we don't all need to be like sort of yogis or like Buddhas or whatever, like in a sense of like need to chase that or whatever. Like, yeah, it like, thanks for that invitation. That feels like maybe you don't express it literally, but it feels like that. Like it's, I feel the quality of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the more we pause in the day, the more efficient we come. So you don't even have to like do less. Maybe you will even do more.
Yes.
When you pause more in the day.
Yeah.
Just these little tiny pauses that you can implement in the day by becoming present brings so much space in a way that we become more efficient. And efficient for me is a little bit of a dirty word because it's been so like, let's be more efficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, slowing down and pausing doesn't necessarily mean doing less.
Yeah. Just doing the right things.
Just doing the right things. And when we create these pauses in this space, also there's opportunity for insights to come, to do things different maybe. So it's just the quality that changes. The quality of what you're doing starts to change.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, like tuning into, you know, what do you call it, like guidance, or like people have all kinds of words for this, but I think the sort of common denominator is like a feeling of what wants to happen or what's alive through me, you know, tuning more into what does life want of me instead of what do I want of life.
Yeah.
Like what do I feel within the life force energy that's flowing through my body, through my system? Where do I get taken? And then if you're in that flow, you will have the feeling of being carried, but also stuff will just happen a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a beautiful one. Like, what does life want from me?
Yeah. What do you feel life wants for you?
Right now, to feel, to meet what wants to be met in me in this time. And to surrender to that not knowing that is so challenging. And to trust. Yeah. To trust even deeper. I know there's many layers to trust, and I think this is what life is asking me right now. To surrender to that not knowing, to trust, and to meet and feel everything that comes up or is being stirred up in that.
Meet all parts of yourself in a sense. Yeah. How is, well, let me phrase that differently. Like, apart from surrendering, are there other, say, like techniques or things that you kind of use regularly that you feel like sharing that can help us to, you know, create more space within ourselves, or like get more into that? How do we then go to that flow that you're describing, or like that, the tuning into life?
It must sound like a fart, this
It's the chair.
chair sound. So how to, I can only, this is also what you're asking me, my own experience, to be conscious of our breathing, to be conscious of what I'm feeling in the moment, to be curious about that, to pause, to actually be able to feel that. I go into nature a lot, go for long walks. Also really not just going into nature and going on a long walk and then going home again, but to really be there. I like walking barefoot. I tell the trees how beautiful they are. To really connect with nature, because we are nature. And I sing and dance. I sing and dance a lot, and work with sound and frequency a lot more lately. Everything is frequency.
Yeah.
So I think also frequency and sound, the sound of our own voice, but also sound in general. I think it's very much going to be part of the future holistic healing. It is already, but I think it's going to become much bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm using also that a lot, simply just frequencies. And there are so many beautiful tools for that. But it starts with our voice. And you had a beautiful conversation with Leonie, of course, who is all about that. But we don't have to be singers to use our voice to basically come in harmony again in our system. So this is also what I'm doing quite a lot lately. I start my day with chanting and prayer. Oh, this is a good one, actually. Prayer is so powerful.
It doesn't even have to be religious prayer. It's just about the power of words, of expressing, of intention, of...
it's again the frequency of it.
Yeah.
It's the frequency of it. And religion hijacked prayer. But of course, prayer doesn't have so much to do with religion. And I might trigger some people now in that. That's okay. You can feel that.
Luckily, there's different perspectives in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. For me, prayer is what I'm praying to is to God, and God for me is also nothing to do with religion. God to me, and you can have so many names for it. Like the source, the light, everything. But also, I'm praying to my own heart. I'm praying to my higher self. Praying to life. And I think it's really beautiful when we learn how to tune in to our higher self, or to our heart, or to God, and to see what wants to come, what words wants to come. And we can do that in singing, we can do that in just words. And often when I'm really allowing myself to just have it come, then I'm also surprised often of I didn't know that was alive in me. And I start basically giving words to things that were apparently are alive in me, or things I'm asking for, I'm praying for, that are alive in me that I wasn't fully aware of yet. So the more I do it, the more it also starts to flow.
Yeah.
And what it brings me in that moment is softness, more harmony, more peace. So it brings a peacefulness in myself. And again, this trust. Because I'm connecting to something much bigger. I'm connecting to something, let's say, higher.
Yeah.
Or deeper.
Yeah, however you want to word it. Yeah. I love that. I went yesterday to a concert of Porangui, who's from Brazil, and he does put a lot of let's say ancient and indigenous wisdom and ceremonial aspects into his whole performance, and started with calling all the four directions and had all the whole all the audience join in this little ceremony, and then also at the end. And I noticed at the end he invited us all to close our eyes and just to breathe a couple of times deeply and connect to our body again, and notice like, okay, how do you feel different now after 2 hours of just going out of your mind dancing, and really being in the body, compared to 2 hours before. And then he's like, okay, and now if you're open to it, I want to invite you to connect to your higher self and ask for a message or guidance. And I've been doing this regularly over the last, I would say, maybe year or so. And I can definitely agree with what you're saying, of like, if you're doing this more, you're strengthening that connection and you're learning to pick up and differentiate between the thoughts I'm, in a sense, creating myself, and the sort of intuition and the things that rise up or get sent to me, in a sense. And so as soon as I did this, like, okay, what wants to come, like what guidance is there? There was like, you can let go, you can slow down. And it was like my body almost fell backwards. It's like I all of a sudden sort of I had to almost step back to sort of not fall. So in a sense, I had this really feeling of like being pushed backward, almost like slow down. And it was like, this is not something I didn't know, but it was like, I would say maybe the last bit of confirmation that I needed to really surrender to it now. And it's so beautiful. And it's also, I recognize like the me of, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years ago, hearing this would be like, that's kooky, that's crazy, like, that's like where you do whatever, like woo woo. But it's alive in all of us, I believe, if we just learn to tune into it, if we just learn to recognize that there is something bigger and deeper. And it's like, oh yeah, first you're maybe identified with the body as this is me, but then I love this framing of Rupert Spira, who explains like, when you're very young, you talk about the sense of self, you describe yourself as I, and then when you're 10 years later, you're still I, and then when you are 40 or 50, you're I, and about the moment before you die, you're still I. But all the cells in your body are different. All your thoughts and beliefs have become different. But there's still I. There's still this deeper sense of being that is really hard to, give words to, really sort of put into a box or whatever. It's almost indescribable, but it's very palpable. It's very clear that it's there. And I love like this, just this whole journey of tuning more into I, into self, and with that, the connection to everything else. And in that sense, the magic of life, like that we don't see this as random and as something that is happening to us, and it's like, it can be over any moment and it doesn't mean anything because we're so small compared to the universe. But no, we're actually connected and part of everything. It's very different. It's a way of looking at life that gives a lot more, it invites a lot more relaxation. It gives a lot more meaning to everything that we're doing. Yeah. And I can't see myself viewing life in that old way anymore. But I'm also curious what life will bring, because I also know that my current perception very likely isn't the one that I will still have in 20, 40 years,
I hope not. It would mean you would stop evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How, like, how do you view, let's say, the thing that cannot be named, or the unseen, the deepest layer within us?
The I between the I, or behind the I. beyond. I don't view it really, or I don't have so much words for it now. I think how you just also described it really beautifully. But I experience it. I get glimpses of it in moments. And I think this is what you also described so beautifully at your concert from yesterday, where you already know that you have to slow down. You already know that you have to let go more. But it's different when someone tells you that, or when you tell yourself that as a mental concept, than when you have a felt experience of it.
Yeah. That's the key. Yeah.
I think this is what we need to also trust, to trust that source, to trust that intelligence. And so, yeah, the felt experience, I think, is key in all this. And to have that that direct experience of it, we again need the awareness and the presence and the pausing, the openness and the curiosity. Also the curiosity to ourselves, to life, the openness to what else is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the child within us, right? The sort of childlike curiosity is really what it is for me, I think. Like this, yeah, I mean, I don't know how it is for everyone, but like I know this, and I think I see this in many people, of like, as soon as life becomes, you make it more serious, as soon as there's more responsibilities and like, mortgage and whatever, that kind of stuff, it all of a sudden feels like there's no more room to play.
Yeah.
But by not playing, we're actually limiting our experience of life so much. Yeah.
I think this is also why so many people have to come to the point of either like a really deep darkness, or getting into a certain life experiences that is really pushing to get to that point of awakening, basically, of wanting it different, or opening up to something different, maybe not even wanting, but to create the openness of something different, maybe just because simply life pushes us that there's no other way. We have to.
Yeah.
Or that there is a glimpse. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's interesting how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's almost like the curiosity of something else has to overtake the comfort of for things to be safe or the same. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, and we get so entangled in our lives and in our relationships, and also the comfort you just mentioned. It's so comfortable. In a way, it's sometimes also nice to be comfortable, to just bathe in that comfort.
Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it. But life wants to evolve, and life wants us to evolve as human beings and as a species, as a whole. So when it doesn't sort of comes more in a soft way, sometimes it comes in a more challenging way.
Yeah, and like slowing down helps you to become more aware of the small signs that are like telling you, or maybe confirming what a part of you already knows, but it's kind of hard to acknowledge or surrender to. And Like I've definitely noticed as well, like where there's been these moments of, I don't know, maybe I've told this story before, but like a thing that was very clear for me was like a couple of years ago I was working with a client where I just noticed like it just didn't work anymore, and not in terms of creativity, but more like personal values. And it was all around the whole COVID thing. And it was like, I had there was moments throughout the year working with them, I felt like, I feel like this doesn't fit me anymore. But it's like, you don't just, at the first feeling of that, at least I don't just, throw it all away in a sense. But then towards the end of the year, it became like more and more uncomfortable. And reaching the point where my whole body was sort of like, I wasn't burnt out, but I was definitely like, I felt very heavy, and I really felt like I've been pushing way too much, doing stuff that doesn't fit me anymore. To the point where I was just like, when the thought, then the thought comes up again. I don't know, the guidance, or whatever you want to call it, if like, it was very clear, you need to let this go. And the moment I accepted it, like tears, my shoulders dropped, like the pain in my back started to dissolve in the days after. It was like so clear. I'd been holding on to something, contracting to something that wasn't for me anymore. And I noticed it very late, or like it was very late that I actually made the decision, but I noticed it way earlier. So I also feel like, later when there's this moment where you feel like there's no other choice, you will find the power, the courage, whatever you want to call it, to make that decision. And then afterwards, it's always, like you said, life supports you. Life's not against us. It's always that you then, looking back, notice that was exactly what was needed, because you needed space for something more beautiful.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe life would have been even more beautiful if you listen to the very first signs instead of waiting half a year or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think life gives us the opportunities to walk our highest path, a path that is maybe not even necessarily more beautiful, but more true. And with that, more beautiful. Yeah, definitely. And it all then, as I hear you, it all then comes back to the body.
Yeah.
And I think this is also when we look out into the world and what we see, all the disease and vague things people are feeling in their bodies that they don't know what to do with it. The body is constantly communicating with us. It is such an intelligence, and it's constantly telling us something. But are we willing to listen?
Yeah.
This is the whole thing. Are we willing to listen?
I would say starting with the breath is a good place to start listening more, right? Bring a bit more of conscious breathing into your life, whether it's a session with a coach like yourself, whether it's you're doing a bit of connected breathing, or whether it's even just sitting down for 2 minutes, taking a couple of deep breaths, can already make a difference.
Yeah, that's how it starts. Just becoming aware of the fact that you're breathing.
Yeah. Marloes, thanks so much for this beautiful conversation and this presence and everything that you shared. I'd love for you, I'll put this down in the show notes as well, but if there's stuff that's coming up for you later in the year, perhaps any places where people can find you, stuff that you have coming up, please share. And if there's anything else you'd like to share as well, you have the space.
No, I just want to thank you for this beautiful time together with you, for this moment of connecting and sharing the wisdom that we both carry, or that wants to be shared. And really enjoyed this moment.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. And I hope this is an invitation to be more present, to slow down, to really tune into what does the body tell you? What does the higher self tell you? What wants to be felt? What wants to be experienced? And to see if you can slowly give more depth to your being and go a little bit more from human doing to human being. It's definitely what I will be inviting myself to do over the next couple of months, or like the rest of my life perhaps. So thanks so much for tuning in, and see you again next week. Bye bye.